Go ahead.
Okay. Hello and welcome to Filmi Ladies. We are Pithu and Beth, and today we're very excited because we are going to talk about one of Hindi cinema's most beloved stars and one of my absolute favorites. That Beth always makes fun of me because I turn into the heart eye emoji anytime I talk about one Mr. Sunil Dutt. Yay! Um, Sunil Dutt was primarily a film star of the 1960s. And we have spoken about a few Sunil Dutt movies in the past. We've spoken about Waqt. We have spoken about Mera Saya in the Sadhna episode. We've spoken about him in the Nargis episode. But we haven't really done a deep dive into Sunil Dutt himself. So I'm very excited. And for this episode, I watched two movies of his that I have not seen before. I watched Humraaz from 1967, and I also watched Reshma Aur Shera, which is from 1971. And I was particularly interested in it because it is also his direction. So Sunil Dutt was not just an actor, but he also owned Ajanta Arts. So he was a producer, he was a director. He was actually quite an experimental director. And then, of course, in his later years, he became like a politician and a philanthropist. And him and Nargis together were kind of known as the face of sort of philanthropy that was centered on cancer research and cancer outreach and stuff. And then, of course, in his personal life, he is famous as Mr. Nargis and as the dad of Sanjay Dutt. And he's just a person that I think has a very long cherished legacy in Hindi cinema. And I'm very excited to talk today about Sunil Dutt, the actor, because I feel like his personal life tends to eclipse his achievements as an actor. And people speak more about Sunil Dutt, the lovely human, as opposed to Sunil Dutt, the actor or director. So I'm excited to shine a spotlight on that. Beth, which movies did you watch for this episode?
I only managed to watch one and then sort of skim through and remind myself of another that was a rewatch. So, hello, kitty. The film that I watched properly was Bhai Bhai from 1970. And then the film that I kind of skimmed through and reminded myself of was Ganga Aur Suraj with Shashi Kapoor from 1980.
Okay. Um, I find it so funny that you watched a movie called Bhai Bhai because the minute you told me that was going to be your choice, I was like, of course it is.
Well, the plot description that I had seen of this film was extremely enticing.
Okay.
And as I watched it, I felt misled. The description that I'd heard was not inaccurate, but it was not the right vibes or something. Like
Okay.
it was just not, it's not how I would have described it. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Yeah, that happens a lot, but sometimes you'll see like a Bollywood film poster or you'll read a synopsis and you're like, oh, this movie is about this. And then it's a
Yeah.
total bait and switch. And
No.
you're like, excuse me?
Yeah. And this was not full bait and switch, but it was
Okay.
definitely not what I thought it was going to be. But I did still enjoy it very much. So.
Okay. So what did the synopsis say? And then what did you experience? Also, who is Sunil Dutt's co-stars in it?
Well, can you guess with a movie titled like Bye Bye whether there's a dual role?
I would imagine there would be two Sunils.
There are. So he's his own
Okay.
co-star. Then Asha Parekh was the paramour of
Oh,
one of them, and the
okay.
others was Mumtaz. And I
Yay.
remember in discussing another Sunil Dutt film a while ago that had Mumtaz in it, you said to me, "Boy, are they together? That's a weird pair."
Yeah.
And so in this, they are indeed together for a little bit, but I did not have an issue with them as a pair. Maybe I just
Okay.
settled in. And then it has Pran and Manmohan Krishna and a bunch of those, a bunch of Iftikhar. It has a bunch of those guys, which is another reason I
Okay.
wanted to see it.
We love our Iftikhar.
Mm, always.
Yeah. So then tell us what Bye Bye is about.
This film is about, okay, so there's the two Sunil Dutts. It's unclear to me whether they're supposed to be twins or just brothers. I think they're just two brothers, actually. Um, and the older one has come to the city to try to earn money to help his ma and his baby brother. And his baby brother wants to study to be a judge, or his mom wants him to be a judge. That was a little unclear to me, but
for, for a second, I thought you were going to say, or his mom wants to be a judge. And I was like, what is happening?
1970. No, of course not. um,
She's already a judge. She's a judge of their bad choices.
that she is.
Yes.
And so the older one goes to the city, but the trouble is he's a writer, which is not the way to earn enough money to send back home to
Hmm.
your family usually. And he is having a lot of trouble. I believe he's supposed to be having issues with alcohol, but he is not clean shaven. So that's how you know the times are hard. And his best friend is Mahmoud. So that also perhaps
Oh
is an
boy.
indicator of something or other. And he gets the advice from a publisher that he should write crime fiction, which
Okay.
will sell. And he does, and it does sell. Meanwhile, Ma has been mistreated by the place where she does sewing to earn money. Ma is also blind.
I can't make this up.
You don't need to make it up. It's right there.
Does Ma cry a lot?
She does a fair amount,
Is
actually.
she always dehydrated?
And Ma, so then baby brother, who's still at home, starts to throw a fit at her employer and like beats up her employer and everything. But then he, is disgraced. So he's not in university anymore, I guess, or I don't know. It doesn't really matter. So then he turns to a life of crime and he
Okay.
starts enacting the crimes of the books.
Oh, that's interesting.
So when I first heard about this movie, what I read was like an author writes crime fiction and mysteriously the crimes start happening. What's going on? So that sounded more like someone's hallucinating or there's some kind of that sounded more interesting
Yeah.
than this turned out to be. However,
Or
this
like a
was
copycat person
yeah.
inspired by the books.
Somehow I, a self-proclaimed 70s indie masala lover, did not initially knowing that summary and then the title, I should have figured out, well, there's a brother doing it. I didn't.
Right. Okay.
I did not guess that going into the film, and I really should have. But anyway, I enjoyed this film very much. It's masala. There's not too much comedy. There's not too much Mahmood for me. Mahmood's really been in a lot of the films we've discussed lately.
He
So,
has.
um, but he knows exactly what he's doing in this kind of film. And this film was directed by Raja Nawate, who did
Mhm.
Gumnam, which is a film, of course, I like very much, and that has been on our podcast. And it was written by the guy who did oh, sorry, I had it pulled up and then I closed it. S. Ali Raza, um who wrote Reshma Aur Shera
Yeah. I was just going to say he wrote the movie I'm talking about.
and Dusnumbri and Mother India.
Oh, wow.
One of the
Okay.
mother and Andaz, the old Andaz. So,
Mm.
this has some good people behind it. And unfortunately, though, this was a film where I started to think, wait a minute, do I like Sunil Dutt a lot as an actor? But I always enjoy seeing him. I'm always happy when he
Right.
shows up. And then I was texting with some other people about, what's your favorite Sunil Dutt film or whatever. And a lot of people said, oh, yeah, I shouldn't say a lot of people, two or three people said,
Yeah.
oh, so lovely, so handsome. Not my favorite actor, though. And I was
Right.
like, huh, is that what I also think? What do I think? I don't know.
Right.
But I know we always are happy to see him here on Filmy Ladies, and we
Yeah.
so much so that we decided to do this episode. So uh maybe I'll change my mind by the end of this recording, but obviously he knows what he's doing in a film like this. Although, as you say, he is primarily a 60s star, not a 70s star, although he is
Hmm.
acting a lot in the 70s. So this is beginning to tilt into the an era where he's perhaps not as at home. And to that point, I rewatched Ganga Aur Suraj with Shashi Kapoor, or I skimmed through it and refreshed myself on it, where I was reminded that everybody was like, why is Shashi the Daku and Sunil Dutt the police officer? They got each other's roles. What's going on here?
Yeah.
And I know Sunil Dutt had several films where he's a Daku, but it's not like he did dozens of them. There's like
Right.
five, right? So I don't
Right.
know. It's interesting to me that that's so much what he's associated with, especially when his real life persona is so much not that.
Yeah.
So it's not like Ranjit or Shakti Kapoor or somebody
Right.
like that. But anyway, so I and that
But
movie is not
but
great.
he is more like in that Daku and that sort of like villagey, like rural
Hmm.
heartland. He has more of those vibes than Shashi does.
Sure.
Shashi is like very urban and sophisticated. And the
Yeah.
closest I can think of Shashi being a Daku, not really a Daku, but like his Junoon.
It's Janoon. That's the one thing that
Yeah.
everybody
And
says.
that's
Yeah.
not even like a classic Daku, but it's kind
Right.
of that.
Yeah. He's a bad guy with eyeliner on.
Yes.
So
And smolderingly sexy,
and
which
he's
is
not
very
rural, but he's
problematic.
historic. So sometimes that's kind of
Yes.
similar. Yeah. So yeah, and that movie's not great. It's not Shashi's best work either, but I was like, oh yeah,
Okay.
this is not the thing I should have rewatched for Sunil. But I was kind of interested in reminding myself of him with another hero, kind of what I would think.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Bye Bye is a good time, and Mumtaz is the bad brother's gangster girlfriend. Of
Of course.
course she is. She has a great song where she's wearing basically like a can-can outfit with feathers on her head and everything. She gets a great dance. Asha gets a dance. She's really shoehorned in. Poor Asha, like she has nothing to do in this film. I felt bad for
Okay.
her, but she's the
Is she
rich
like goody
girl.
goody?
Little bit. She's the Pesewali who
Yeah.
the good Sunil Dutt, is in love with, but he doesn't want to marry her because he's worried that he's too poor and whatever. Her father does not seem to be against it actually, but yeah, so there's all this, you know, kind of stuff. So
Okay. I'm so curious about this Ganga Aur Suraj movie because I've literally never heard of it. And this is very strange to me that
yeah.
these people would cast Sunil as the cop and Shashi as the Daku. But tell me more.
Well,
Like, are they good?
there's children who are switched at birth.
Okay.
And my beloved Perverish, it owes a little bit to some of that. So like the villain's daughter, interesting. The bad Daku's daughter, and the bad Daku is Kader Khan.
Ah,
His daughter is kind of lost and rescued in a botched arrest attempt, and so Iftikhar, who's in this one too, uh, as a cop, takes her home, but then the villain steals one of his two sons and raises him. So baby Shashi ends up with the villains.
okay.
Sunil is the older brother, and he is raised by the cop and ends up as a cop, but then he goes undercover to be the Daku, to be friends with.
Okay.
So he is kind of a Daku, but he's also the police officer undercover. And I had remembered that one of them was undercover, but I was like, surely it's Shashi. No, it's not. So that was
Okay.
kind of fun. And Reena Roy is like the village belle who is Sunil Dutt's love interest, and Sulakshana Pandit is Shashi's love interest.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Is there like any like bromance
Yeah,
between
a
Sunil and
little
Shashi
bit,
when he goes
mostly towards
undercover?
the end. Mostly towards the end, but
Okay.
yeah, they get to know each other as they're both Dakus and
What are those flavors like on screen?
okay, not the greatest.
Okay.
Um, I prefer I always prefer Shashi with Amitabh, but I also
Yeah.
prefer him with someone like Vinod Khanna, although I think
Mm,
they only have like two films together, and I can only really name one of them. Shashi with Dharmendra is also very weird.
it's
I don't
weird.
care for that, and they only did one film together. I think there's a reason for that. Shashi with Shahrukh and Sinha is okay.
Mm.
They
Yeah.
contrast, right?
Yeah.
Dad and Shashi are kind of too similar, maybe. They're
Yeah.
these sort of gentlemanly figures who basically were nice in real life, and they kind of fill some of the same niche in movies. Not exactly.
Right.
Obviously, there's a generational difference, but they might be a little too similar, honestly.
Mm.
Um,
There's not enough contrast for them to
I think
bounce off
so.
of
I
each
think there's not
other.
enough contrast. Yeah, and Shashi or like Shashi with Danny Denzongpa, that's great.
Love.
Yeah, so yeah, and I'm sorry we've ended up talking about Shashi more than Sunil in Sunil's episode, but this is who we are. Um, I I also think it helps. Well, it doesn't help Sunil. Shashi gets the better songs in this movie,
Mm.
and Sunil does get a song where he is tied up in the villain lair, and Reena Roy is doing the whole like she's she's pretending to sort of antagonize him, but really she's giving him clues in the lair and like
Mm.
throwing knives at him, but she's trying to hit the ropes that will cut his ropes to untie him. Kind of, I
Right.
love that kind of song. It's a very niche genre, micro genre, but I love it. But he's just tied up. So he's
Right.
not really doing a whole lot. He's obviously not the man you're going to get called for dancing.
No.
Especially, we have our opinions about his dancing, but he's definitely game. And
Yeah.
he has a kawali at a party, which is great.
Okay.
And then he has a love song with Selection where he's holding a puppy. Like, come on
Oh yeah,
now.
you sent me a photo.
Yeah, come on now. That's unfair. Of
Okay.
course he's gonna win the song. So he's the more charismatic character.
Right.
But so in this film I was feeling like Sunil was really saddled with the what I refer to as the Amar complex, the like Amar Akbar Anthony oldest brother stick in the mud.
Mm, yeah.
He was giving that. And I do love that movie, but you know, Vinod Khanna can do so much more than be Amar. But
Hmm.
it had that to it. Or like sometimes Jackie Shroff is the older brother to Anil
Oh
Kapoor.
yeah.
He's like straight-laced and kind of boring. And
Yeah.
like so it was unfortunately a little bit that.
Okay. The reason I'm so curious about this is because I was thinking about where I would slot Sunil Dutt because I know that my love for him is great and vast, but it is not shared by many. And
Oh, is it
like,
not? I feel like he's
well,
beloved.
so I got the same responses from people that you did because I
Yeah.
also did some homework, and mostly I got responses of like, yeah, he's nice. I like him. He's not my favorite.
Great
I got that a
human,
lot.
not as great as
Yeah.
an actor.
Or
Yeah.
they were like, I like him in that movie, in that specific movie, but like, yeah, he's great. Like, no one says anything bad about him as a
No.
person or even as an actor for that matter. Like, no one was like, oh, his acting sucked. Like, no one even said that. But at the same time, no one was like, oh my God, I love him. It was just me saying I loved him. So
Yeah.
I was trying to slot him with other people that I felt like had similar flavors. And I actually landed on a thing that I came up with where I put Sunil in the middle, I put Shashi on one side, and I put Farooq Sheikh on the other.
Sure. Yeah.
I felt like this is the same flavor,
Uh-huh.
but with slightly different toppings.
Yeah.
So
Same
to
palette.
me, same palette. So it's kind of like if you like Shashi, you'll probably like Sunil and you'll like Farooq Sheikh, but the product is going to be different. So with Shashi, you're going to get more urban sophistication and
Mm.
some of that slight snobbery of
Mhm.
like, I'm a Kapoor and I
Yeah.
speak fluent English and, I ride in a convertible. It's this very like champagne and canapes vibe. And then with Sunil, you're going to get this more like gentlemanly, sweet, shy,
Mm.
and kind of like middle
Mm.
class values, but not like rich, rich. And then with Farooq Sheikh, you're going to get middle class, charming, but you're going to go into parallel cinema.
Right.
And he's also going to be more bubbly.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is kind of the
Yeah, they're a Venn
same
diagram, aren't
zone.
they?
Yeah,
They're
they
all
are.
nice guys. And then
Yeah.
two of them did parallel cinema, and one of them didn't. Two of them did masala, one of them didn't, did a little, but not so much. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Like they all had their own thing that they were
yeah.
doing, but they were kind of running around in that same zone to me. And
Note
then
to
I also,
self, do a Farouk Sheikh episode sometime soon.
yes, I love Farooq Sheikh. And then I also kind of put Balraj Sahni somewhere also,
Sure.
but as their father.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wrong
I was
generation.
like, Balraj Sahni leads down to Shashi, Sunil, and Farooq. Like maybe they're the three brothers or something. But that's why I was so curious. Anyway, so but we'll get into that a little bit about like his popularity or not. But the movies I watched were Humraaz and Reshma Aur Shera. I was particularly my cat is obsessed with me right now. She has not left my side. Um, so I was particularly interested in Reshma Aur Shera because it's a movie that Sunil Dutt produced and directed, and he acted in, and the star cast is bananas. So this movie has Sunil Dutt, Wahida Rahman, Amitabh Bachchan, Amrish Puri, Rakhi. It has Ranjit. It has Vinod Khanna. I mean, it's unending. I probably missed other names. It has Sulochana. It has Dulari. It has so many people.
You
It's
missed
just
the little baby appearance.
Sanjay Dutt in a little kawali where he's basically told smile and clap. And so he smiles and claps. He smiles and claps, usually out of tune, but he
Both your
tries.
films have extremely recognizable actors as children
Yes.
because Sarika is in your other film and she's like, there she is. That's clearly
So
her.
cute.
Yeah.
So darling. And also
Anyway,
named Sarika in the movie. I was like, you could have given her a different name, but fine.
no, make it easy for her.
But Reshma Shera was really curious to see because I know that it's kind of like critically acclaimed. It won national awards. Vahida won a national award for her acting in this movie, and this movie also was nominated for like the Golden Bear or something at like a film festival in Berlin. And I was just curious to watch it, but I had never gotten around to it because I thought it was going to be like a 3 hour slog fest about Izzat and stuff. And I was very, very pleasantly surprised by this movie. I liked it a lot. And I wouldn't, I think this movie is suffers a little bit from reputation. Like, I think this movie gives Romeo and Juliet, but it's not Romeo and Juliet. It's a really much more of like a pacifist statement than Romeo and Juliet would be. So, first of all, the people in this movie are much older. It's set in the desert. It's shot extensively in Jaisalmer on set and on location, I mean. And Sunil Dutt plays the oldest brother of a rival clan, and Vahida Rahman is the daughter of the leader of the other clan, and they hate each other. It's very Capulets and Montagues, but these are older people. These are not teenagers. Like, and he shows his age. I mean, I Googled like how old is Sunil that's supposed to be in this movie, and he was 42 at the time of this filmmaking. And he looks it. He does not look like a young one. And Wahida Rahman is 33 in this film as well. So again, these are not teeny boppers, and it does feel like a more mature love story. So they come from these like warring clans, and a lot of times movies that are set in Rajasthan, yes, they're extremely visually beautiful, and this movie is gorgeous. It's like Laken and Paheli in terms of just the visual beauty of the Thar Desert. But a lot of times they do tend to valorize the ridiculous, patriarchal, and extremely regressive feudalistic mindsets of that region. And this movie does not do that. A lot of these movies will be like, Hum Rajput hai, and then they'll proceed to do the worst things ever. They're like, but we're Rajputs. And this in this movie, you can see that there's a very critical thing of like, you can't just keep justifying warring and bloodshed and rivalry, and that's ridiculous, and can you please stop? And so he's kind of the voice of reason. And Ranjit, of all things, is also a peace lover. I kept waiting for the other shoe to drop. I was like, surely this is a ploy. He's
Love it.
just pretending to be a good boy. He wasn't. He was a good guy. And I was like, well, I feel cheated. And then Vinod Khanna is Sunil Dutt's younger brother. And he's horrible. He's an awful person. And I do love Vinod Khanna's bad turns. Like, I think Vinod Khanna is great as a hero. He's also great as a villain.
Yes.
He does both roles very well. And so he's an awful person in this. Poor Amitabh Bachchan is the youngest brother, and I don't even know what his name is, because they keep calling him Chotu, which means the little one. They also keep calling him Gunge, which means the mute one, because he is mute. I was like, that's very interesting. You took the man with the most recognizable baritone apart from Amrish Puri, and you made him mute in this film. That's a choice. And then you took Vinod Khanna and made him a villain. That's also a choice. There's a lot of interesting choices in this movie. And Sunil Dutt is basically the one who wants to make peace with the other clan, and he tries. And what's interesting is that they are not willing to compromise, and his own family isn't willing to compromise. And all chaos breaks loose, and Sunil Dutt just goes on this crazy rampage. And it's actually Wahida who has to become kind of like the voice of reason and the voice of conscience, and she's the one who actually writes everything. So it's very interesting, because in the first half of the film, Wahida has nothing to do except look exceptionally beautiful, which she does. I mean, the woman wakes up and looks gorgeous, and she has like one or two dances, and the romance between her and Sunil Dutt is very chivalrous and old school, and very like people of a certain era in Rajasthan vibes.
Do you like
And
them as a couple?
I actually really do, because she has this kind of like rustic woman of the soil, vibe about her. Like, there's something very solid about Wahida, and sensible about Wahida. And so they make sense as like a slightly older couple that are smitten with each other, but they're still not going to do silly and impulsive things. Like, her way of showing him love is to pack lunches for him. Like,
Hmm.
it's so like wholesome and sweet. Um, but she starts out as just this like love interest, and then she suddenly kind of like takes over the movie, and I was like, what just happened? And Sunil Dutt is amazing in this film. I think his direction is really good, and his turn from being this pacifist to just completely losing his shit and just going on this complete rampage, like the way he turns on a dime is crazy. And he has a lot of really heavy dialogues, very shouty dialogues, the kind of Dharmendra used to do, where everything is in all caps, everything. And, it's that font that you and I love, where it's like a crumbling wall. He has a
Mhm.
lot of those, but every single dialogue of his makes sense, because he's basically talking about how all of your notions of like izzat and stuff are bullshit, and y'all are bullshit, and this is stupid, and you need to like stop with this nonsense. So I kind of agree with his messaging. It's just hilarious to hear pacifist messaging while someone is shouting at the same time, but it's very entertaining. It's this very like preachy, almost like a Bernie Sanders energy, like where you're yelling at people, but you're also saying very progressive things. So it's like a little confusing, but I enjoyed it. And then, of course, he loses his mind. And then in the end, both his name is Shera and Vahita's name is Reshma. They both die, and the end is actually really beautifully done. Like he shoots himself basically, and she falls over him, and then within seconds there's like a bavandar, like a sandstorm that comes, and then their bodies are slowly covered with it, and people can't find them. And then the last things that are left is just the absolute tippy top of his rifle. It's just a little bit of that and just a
Mm.
tiny little scrap of her pink dupatta. It's very bleak
Ugh.
and it's very dire, but it's also a very strong pacifist message. And I liked it. I genuinely liked this movie and I thought it was very cool. Am I going to randomly watch this for comfort on a long day after a long day at work? No, I'm not, because it is not a cheerful and comforting film, but it's a very beautifully made film and I appreciate the
Yeah.
effort. Have you seen it, right?
I have, yeah, and I was looking at what I had to say about it, and basically
Mm.
very similar to you. I also there's a lot in the beginning about women, right? And like women as the did that hold up to you as
What
being
about it exactly?
so what I have written down is that the narration at the beginning, which is Sunil, right? Doing it, I think.
The voiceover at the beginning is not Sunil.
Oh, it is not. Okay.
My
Uh
guess is it's Amin Sayani, who used to be an All India radio announcer. It sounds like
Mm,
him.
okay. So what I wrote down, so obviously this would have been a subtitle saying, is there's not a single era when the sacrifices made by the women of our country in order to glorify human beings and humanity have not been written in gold letters. I'm like, yes, there have.
Ooh.
Be it a sacrifice of her husband, child life, or her love, sacrifice is another name for the women of this country. It's the sacrifice by the women of our country that has kept the cultures of our country alive. It has spread enlightenment in the world. Hence, this world, lost in the terrifying violence, enmity, and hatred, looks with a ray of hope towards our country and its culture for salvation. That is why it is only in our country that the women are looked upon as deities, and hence we dedicate this film to the women of our country.
I didn't have any of that at the beginning
Oh,
of the
that's
film.
funny. Because that is clearly garbage nonsense.
Yeah. And I
Silliness.
saw that. Yeah, I didn't see any of that. And
Oh, interesting.
there's actually scenes in this movie where both Sulochana and Vahida are really upset, and they're talking about how absolutely mind-bogglingly stupid all these men are. And I was like, yes, you can say that again. And Rakhi has a very tiny role in this movie, but she's awesome.
Yeah, I love
She is
Rocky.
so amazing. Just a teeny tiny little role. The woman is on screen for maybe 5 minutes total, and she just kills it. I was like, wow, Rocky, you're amazing. So I really like this movie. I enjoyed Sunil Dutt's sweet, slow, sort of slow burn romance. And like, it's always nice to see middle aged people romancing on screen. Like, just because like romance is not the monopoly of people who are 20 years old. And so that's nice. But then also, I really enjoy Sunil Dutt and Dharmendra when they get really mad and they start shouting at people. Is very like cathartic to me. And they do it in this very like you can tell they're really vibing with it. They love it. They love being on their soapbox. They love screaming at you. Like the veins in their like throat and in their forehead are like bulging. And I lap it up. It's great. So yes, I would recommend Reshma Aur Shera. I think it's a good movie to watch. I also watched Humraaz, and oh my god, this movie has Vimy. Vimy is a biscuit. Vimy is a Parle G biscuit that the second you put it in a cup of chai, it immediately dissolves and it's so irritating. She has no personality. Vimy has one expression on her face when she's happy. She uses the same expression when she's sad. She reuses that same expression when she's like surprised. So she probably used that same expression when she's stabbed in the film or killed in the film, whatever. So I will say this in favor of Vimy as an actress. She very much believes in conserving her energy, and she does not. She believes in recycling her expressions. This is my way of giving her a compliment.
Mm.
And
When we talked about this movie before, I said something like her greatest destiny maybe so when I had talked with people about this film, they said something like maybe she was cast because a bigger name heroine, because spoiler alert, well, you've already said it, she's murdered in this film. Uh,
yes.
and they wouldn't have stood for someone like Sharmila Tagore being bumped off in a
Mm.
film.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
maybe like your best achievement is that you weren't beloved enough for people to mind you being murdered. in a
People were
film.
like, "Oh, she's dead." Whatever.
And then, again, when you have to know Vimi's real life is so, so horrible. So I
Yes.
do feel bad kind of saying these things, but as an actress, she's really quite bad.
She's really terrible.
Yeah.
And she has scenes with Rajkumar in this movie, and poor man is trying. And Rajkumar is not a good romancer on screen, but he's trying, and she gives him nothing. Like, you know that meme, "Go on, girl, give me nothing"? That's her. Then we have Sunil Dutt also trying to romance her. Again, she gives him nothing. He tries so hard, Beth. He's charming her, he's romancing her, he's wooing her, absolutely no expressions whatsoever. Like
No.
she's like, and I remember saying to the TV, I was so frustrated, and I said, "Are you a human being or are you just like a sculpture or something? Like you're just like a statue." And believe it or not, it's like the movie gods heard me. And Sunil that walks over to the piano and he starts playing the piano, and then he starts singing "Kisi Patthar Ki Moorat Se Ye Mohabbat Ka Irada Hai," which literally means I intend to romance a stone sculpture. And I'm like, that's right. That is what you are doing. And meanwhile, she's just like stony faced, like, "Oh, he's serenading me. Who cares?"
He's worse than Katrina
She is worse than Katrina.
by a
At least,
fair amount, I would say.
at least Katrina gives us good dances.
Yeah, she expresses through dance. Vimy,
Yes,
ma'am,
nothing.
not that Vimy has the same kind of choreo that is available now or in the
Right.
aughts and 2010s, but still.
Yeah, no, but
Poor
Vemi's
Vimy.
wardrobe in this movie is very good because this movie is primarily set
Yeah.
in Darjeeling, and she wears like these saris, but like she wore this like little coat, like a little pea coat, and it has leopard fur trim, and then it has leopard cuffs, and when the shot is off her back, it has like a little bow in the back, and I was like, this coat is gorgeous. Also, this coat has more personality than Vimy.
Also, what a feat to pull off getting to wear the leopard in a film that also has Mumtaz, because Mumtaz is the owner of leopard print in Bollywood for sure.
Indeed. And
And yet,
Mumtaz has worn no leopard in this movie. Now, Mumtaz does get her fair share of very exciting outfits
yeah,
because she's a theater actor.
yeah.
She's the heroine of Sunil Dutt's character in this movie because they're both theater actors, and so she does get a lot of very dramatic outfits to wear. So that's fine. But Vimy gets to wear the leopard, and it is very much wasted on her.
Yeah.
Anyway, I am done with my Vimy soapbox for now. But Humraaz is about Sunil Dutt. He is a theater actor. He falls in love with Mimi. We do not know why, because I don't know why anyone would fall in love with Mimi, but he does. And she's a widow. Her husband was Rajkumar. He is presumed dead in the war, and she has a little baby who her dad got rid of because bad parenting abounds in this film, and the baby is put off in an orphanage. That baby is Sarika. And Vimy marries Sunil Dutt, and she has not told Sunil Dutt about her prior husband or her child or any of that stuff. And then when they get married, she tries to bring the baby from the orphanage and tries to convince Sunil Dutt that maybe they should adopt her and stuff. And then one day she's found dead, and Sunil Dutt is worried that because he found the body and he's holding the gun, it has his fingerprints on it, he's afraid he will be caught. And so he needs to find her killer before he can be arrested for her death or whatever. And hence, it's basically kind of like a whodunit, and then he has to clear his own name and also find his wife's killer. And Mumtaz has like a very small role as his heroine in this film, but it's a really good movie. I mean, he gets to play a whole range of things. He gets to play like a flamboyant stage actor who is used to getting attention from people and like getting all sorts of like applause, but then he also romances her incredibly well. He's very chivalrous and sweet and romantic. He looks like an absolute dreamboat, by the way, in this movie. Very, very handsome.
Are you going to talk about the scene where he strolls around with
Yes.
just shorts on?
Yes, he has these tight, extremely tight spandexy swim shorts, and he's doing jump rope on them. And she's Vimy, being Vimy, is just lying around in bed like this with not a care in the world. And he's just like hopping around the room in his little swim shorts, and he looks absolutely delectable.
I had never thought till just now that this is the like father like son of Sanjay Dutt doing the all the exercises and the dancing in Yalgar with no shirt on and in the ring and
Indeed.
whatever else.
Indeed. I'm sure there was some inspiration involved because I mean, I can't really see Sunil Dutt doing like karate and like karate moves in the rain, but
No,
jump rope, yes, jump rope is more
I
Sunil
guess
Dutt.
so. I
Yeah.
guess so.
Badminton, swimming, that's
Yeah.
more Sunil Dutt. Karate, martial arts, that's more Sunil,
Hmm.
more Sanjay.
Hmm.
but like father, like son. Very cute in that scene. And then he has his towel and he wears his like, he's very like dashing in this movie. And then he has disguises. He gets to wear a beard and everything. And then, oh, this was a lot of fun. The police inspector who is assigned to this case to discover who killed Vemi and who Sunil Dutt is scared of is actually Balraj Sahni. I was so happy. I love Balraj Sahni. And they have these scenes where they're together. And there's a scene where Sunil Dutt asks him if he'd like a cigarette, and there's a VAT 69 bottle, and he opens it, but it's a cigarette holder. And then he gives him a cigarette and then closes it. And I was like, what the hell is that? It was amazing. Um, so, yep, he's really good in the scenes. And then in the scenes where he's with Rajkumar and he's shocked by all the revelations that Rajkumar is telling him, because of course Rajkumar comes back from the dead. It's Rajkumar. He can defy death, as we know. Sunil Dutt gives a lot of good face. There's
Yes.
a lot of very good face acting. There's a lot of like horrified eyes popping out of the eye sockets and his face and his sweat all over. And I took some very entertaining screenshots to send to Beth. So very fun movie, kind of like has a checklist of all the things a hero is supposed to do, and he does those. He does those incredibly well, and he's very darling in it. So, what are your theories on why Sunil Dutt as an actor is liked but not loved? We're talking about his acting, not his real life persona.
Oh, so I have now seen 21, 20, 20 of his films, which again is
That's a
not,
lot.
I mean, he's done 80 something, I think. So,
Yeah, but
you know, not the most, but, and some of these are when he's gone into dad, territory, like in the Yash Chopra
like
films
Munna
he's in, for
Bhai.
example. It is confusing to me that he's not in more Yash Chopra films. He seems custom made for the Yash Chopra world, doesn't it? Like he's in a few, but kind of
Yeah.
surprised he's not in more, actually. Um, why is he's this is going to sound like an insult, and I do not mean it as such, perhaps. Uh, he's non-threatening,
Yes.
right? So he's not mothers lock up your daughters,
Right.
like Vinod Khanna, for example.
Right.
He's not brawny, although he does do
Mhm.
fight scenes. So like he's macho enough, but he's not
He's not Dharam.
macho. No, he is shouty a fair amount, and possibly that's
Hmm.
because he's playing patriarch sometimes. But like his,
Yes.
in Amrapali, he's very shouty in that movie.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a prince or whatever, but still. Um, I think it's sort of again like a middle ground of he's not too much one thing or the other, and therefore can fit in a fair number of places and doesn't upset anything. But
Yeah.
neither, but also, obviously you can upset things for good or for bad. And like Amitabh Bachchan knocked stuff over and made a whole new world, right? So there's someone
Yeah.
who was doing something very different, and it had this profound effect that almost everybody loves and whatever, and was incredibly popular at its time at the very least. Whereas Sunil Dutt, I don't see him ever really having a presence of
Hmm.
that, not necessarily that flavor, but like that magnitude, right? He's not disrupting anything. He's not like, whoa, now what do we do with this person in cinema, right? He just slotted right in and
Right.
did consistently good work, as far as I can tell. Good, but perhaps not great most of the time.
Yeah. I was thinking about it like what, like as an actor, not as a human, as an actor, what was his personal brand? And
I
I
don't
don't think he
know.
had one. And I mean, I come from a background of advertising and branding before I moved into fashion,
Yeah.
and you do need like you need a brand
What's
presence, you
his
need a
unique
brand
selling point?
value,
I don't
right,
know.
in a crowded marketplace, and he didn't
Right.
have one. Like Amitabh Bachchan, to your point, like he often plays these very shady, almost like Machiavellian characters. Where even when he's playing like a romantic hero, I'm like, "What's your agenda?" Because I don't trust you, sir. You know what I mean? Like there's an edge to him that I don't necessarily trust, and that there's a sex appeal to Vinod. With Sunil,
Yeah.
that I just feel like I can see through him.
Yeah. Yeah. So maybe that's why seeing him undercover in Ganga or Suraj was like, "Mer."
Yeah,
I do feel like he offers a breath of fresh air after Raj Dilip.
Dave.
Dave Anand. Right. So he and Dharmendra are this kind of s- calmer,
Mm,
little more
less
subtle
macho.
kind of hero, perhaps.
Yeah.
And even if that's not necessarily the characters, it's a little bit the vibe.
Yeah.
Um, and obviously, Dharmendra morphed into something else as he went along, and Sunil, I don't think really did. Although, again, I've only seen a quarter of his films or so. So, but
Right.
I wonder if he's a good, not an alarming, upsetting change of pace, but like here is something a little different
Right.
that we still recognize and that still fits in perfectly fine, right? Not a
Right.
disruptor, but a like, version 2.0.
Right.
Well, not no, it's not that he's a version of something, but yeah, he slots in well, I guess.
Yeah. I think of him as like the boy next door.
Yeah.
Like if you're a young girl in a movie, let's say you're Sadhna or Mala Sinha or Mumtaz or whatever, and you come home in one of those typical scenes, it was like, Daddy, 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 Daddy. You know what they do when they're wearing their
Oh
lacy,
yeah.
flouncy things and the satin headband and the over the top pointy bra that's like a
Hmm.
like two triangles, like a fembot. And they're like, Daddy, 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 Daddy. And they get out of their, convertible and they're like, I love a boy. And then if they say that the boy they love is Sunil Dutt, there's not going to be a problem.
Right.
Her dad's going to be like, great, amazing, marry him, you'll be
Yeah.
set for life.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then there's no challenge there.
Yeah. Which is why I think Walked is my favorite of his performances, although
Yeah,
it's also my favorite of the films that
just
he's in, I would say. But
mm,
he and Sadhna are so nice in that,
yeah,
right? Like of course they love each other. Like, but it's,
yeah,
and so no, there's not a lot of friction without the sort of machinations of the other stuff in the film, but that's nice.
yeah.
It's nice not to have friction in in your life, right? Like, and I know we can't characters and performances are different than real life, but like, what better upgrade has there ever been than Nargis marrying him instead of being with Raj Kapoor? Like, what best upgrade ever?
Yes, absolutely. He is not for the person who wants chaos and drama.
No.
He's for
Yeah.
the sensible people that want to be with a green flag.
Or the formerly drama-loving people who have wised up.
Yes, learning and growing.
Right. Right. He's a great choice.
He is, yeah. And I think also my favorite movies of his that I find the most enduring actually are not the movies where he's the hero per se. They're the movies where the actress has the author back role and she is the face of the film and her titular character, that is the name of the movie. And he's basically the foil. He's the support. He's the person that's like her rock. Like, what is that Bimal Roy movie I'm thinking of? Sujata comes to mind.
Mm,
That movie is Nutan's movie.
right.
I mean, it's a movie where she's an untouchable, and this Sunil that falls in love with her, and it's her story. It's even named Sujata for her, and it's the Nutan show. But the movie wouldn't be complete without him. And so he kind of brings this like sweetness and gravitas to that movie. And I was thinking about how many iconic films he's done where he was not the star of the show. And I
Mm,
think that in an era when heroes just wanted to, like, there's this phrase we use in Mumbai at least. It's called footage khana. Like, oh, he just wants to eat footage. It
right.
just,
He's not going to do
it's,
that
he's
usually.
not going to do that. He's going to let you have your day, which is more than can be said about the likes of Amitabh, right? Like, he's going to let you have your day. If it's Mother India, it's called Mother India. It's not called Birju. It's the Nargis show.
Yeah.
If it's Sujata, it's the Nutan show. If it's Mera Saya, it's the
Hmm.
Sadhna show.
Hmm.
So all of his famous movies, it's like they're headlined by a woman, and she's the one that walked away with the critical acclaim and the awards and the nominations and the praise. And he's kind of like, oh, he's very nice in this film, and he's so supportive of the actor. And it's like, what are your definitive films then?
Or he's in something
You
like
know,
Sean, where he is important, and because he is the Amar older brother cop, they he is dispatched partway through the film. And as much as I like Sunil, that I didn't really miss him once he was out of the film,
right?
right? But like, there's so much other stuff to occupy one in there, and like with
Yeah.
Amitabh Shashi and Shotgun, like there was not room for four. One of them had to go.
Yeah. And of all of these, his personality is probably the one that's the most, it's the softest.
Yeah.
It's the softest, it's the most subtle. He's not
because
going to be able to outshout them.
as similar as he and Shashi are at times, Shashi's more
Mm.
dramatic, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Generally speaking, yeah. I was
Shashi also
looking,
has more sparkle.
yeah, definitely, definitely. I was looking up Farooq Sheikh, Shashi, and Sunil Dutt while you were talking about one of your films, and they're
Yeah.
each about 9 to 10 years apart. So they are like these
Mm.
same guy, slight generational differences, right? Like no wonder there's space enough between them for them all to exist
Right.
and be a little different from one another.
But it's like I think that in Hindi cinema, you need that. You
Oh yeah.
need that actor that is
Yeah.
not going to be eating footage the whole time. And
No.
there's only so many menacing anti-heroes you can have and the sex spots that
Mhm.
you can have. You
Mhm.
need the straight-laced, sensible, decent guy.
Mhm.
Um, and there's always going to be room for that. And so you just need to find your generations like Balraj Sahni, your generation Shashi Kapoor, your generation Sunil Dutt, your generation's Farooq Sheikh, and just like slot them in there,
And
right?
it obviously does not hurt that he's very attractive.
Yes,
He's a very handsome man.
he is. But one of the things that I found very interesting about him is because I don't associate Sunil Dutt with romance. I don't think of him as a
Yeah, no, not
romantic
really.
hero,
Not
but
really.
that doesn't make sense if you look at how gorgeous he was. Like he's tall,
Well, but Dharmendra is
he's
right there.
dreamy. Right. Shashi also still
Yeah,
around
you're getting
at that
Shami and
time.
Sashi also in that era,
Yeah,
right? Like, and again, he and Shami are not the same guy
absolutely not.
at all, but they're very close in, career track in some ways. But
Right.
um, those two can't do each other's roles. I
No,
mean, maybe when they're
absolutely not.
older, but should the patriarch characters, yes, but like those aren't the same guy.
Yeah, Sunil Dutt is not going to rappel down like a
No,
helicopter in a bathrobe. He's
no,
not going to do that. He does not
no.
have time for such shenanigans.
But he will wear his bathrobe and like swan around the living
Yeah,
room making with his fancy coffee pot as he does
for
in
sure. Yeah,
Humraaz. And he
yeah,
is so he's not so straight-laced and everything that he's not swanning around in a bathrobe or doing jumping
right.
jacks shorts on
Or
forever,
swimming
whatever,
at
or
the Hotel
swimming.
Sun and Sand.
At oh,
He'll do all of those
he's so
things.
comfortable at the Hotel Sun and Sand.
Yeah. Sunil Dutt is the person that I want to go on vacation with now that I'm a middle aged person because I don't want to party and I don't want to go to the
Right.
clubs.
No.
So I want to be at some sort of Riviera. I want to be at some sort of hotel spa or like pool. And I want to be poolside reading all the latest like celebrity gossip and drinking a martini. And Sunil Dutt will be right next to me getting his tan on. And it'll be such a lovely and pleasant time, Beth.
The other person that Sunil Dutt reminds me of, and this occurred to me while I was watching, for this podcast, I was like, there's a little bit of the Sumitra Chatterjee about him
Oh my
as
God.
well.
I was literally thinking of
A
Soumitra the
little
other
bit.
day, especially Soumitra from Apu, and
Yes.
also because it's that same guileless, earnest
Hmm.
sincerity. But that is why
Educated.
I worry. Yes, but that is why I worry for him. And also,
No,
like, not
totally.
rich, rich.
Yeah, no.
Right. I did think about Soumitra, but then I kind of like deleted him from my Venn diagram because I think he's just leagues ahead in his
Oh, and there's
talent.
such a
Yeah.
different because his work is significantly and never did a single
Yeah.
film, right? So that, there's no overlap there. But
But it's
if,
that same
yeah,
just enduringness. Like I
yeah.
like Uttam Kumar, he's gorgeous, I get it, but I just find Samitra so much more enduring,
Oh, yeah.
which is what
Yeah.
I find Sunil Dutt to be. Like
Yeah.
I'm rooting for this
Oh,
guy,
yeah. Yeah.
and I feel like Samitra and Sunil Dutt could be such buddies.
Totally. And they're
You
both
know?
like they got their university degree and it's hard to get a job now. And so they're doing,
Yeah.
you know, they really want to be literature professors, but they have to be office clerks for now or whatever. Like, I know these guys.
Oh my God. And I can totally imagine Sunil Dutt having a crush on Madhavi Mukherjee,
Oh
like
yeah.
Soumitra in Charulata or in
Hmm.
Kapurush. I mean, come on, what a
Hmm.
goddess, what a
Hmm.
beauty. And they would be like such a good pairing too. So I
They
did
would.
actually think of Soumitra, but
Funny.
then I just kind of deleted him
Yeah, yeah,
because I was like,
yeah,
the talent just doesn't,
yeah. We
but
don't
it's
have to
that
factor
same
him in.
vibe. It's that same vibe. But
Mm-hmm.
that's why I then settled on Balraj Sahni for older and
Yeah.
then Shashi and Farouk.
Well, so the obvious question now is who is the current Sunil Dutt? And I have a name that came to mind, and you're not going to like it, and I don't really
Oh
like it
no.
either. But and I'm very willing to be talked out of it, but is it Ayushmann Khurrana?
No, no. He's
I
like,
mean,
no.
maybe we don't have these characters very much anymore. And let it be on the record again that you and I have watched a grand total of like five Hindi movies that have come out this year. So like we don't know.
Yeah.
But who is this now? Does this
I
exist now?
I don't think this exists now. I
Oh,
don't think we have anyone like that.
is it Vikrant Massey? Maybe it's Vikrant Massey.
He's not as good looking. You know who I thought of though, because
Oh,
I
that's
did think
okay.
of this too. I thought a little bit of Irfan.
Yeah. Yeah,
But that's
yeah,
because I
again.
love Irfan so much that I'm always trying to like compare the people I love to each other. But specifically Irfan in The Namesake,
Yeah.
uh, that like Ashok Ganguly, that character, or Irfan in Lunchbox,
Hmm.
or maybe even a tiny bit Irfan in Piku,
Sure.
well, he's a little too acerbic to
Yeah.
be Sunil Dutt, but a little bit that. But then again, I got confused because Irfan's talent was just of such a magnitude. Or Irfan in Bilu, like again that kind of like everyman. But I don't think it's the same
But
vibe, and I
who's
cannot
the
imagine
yeah, who's the like 30-year-old that's doing these kinds of things right now? Who's the still
Varun if Varun wasn't as
oh,
extroverted and flashy.
well,
The problem is Varun is too flashy.
yeah, no, he's too
I don't think
masala.
we have one, but maybe this means that there is space for such a person.
And maybe he exists and he's on TV and we don't know.
Maybe,
Or he's done some
or
movie
maybe
that
he's doing regional cinema and we
has
don't
not
know.
crossed our path or whatever. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Tell us, listeners, who is the Sunil Dutt of right now in who's in his 30s.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know who that would be. But I read something. Well, anyway, I got confused. I got distracted. But I was thinking about romances and why I don't associate with romances, even though he clearly has the face for romance. Like he's gorgeous. And I was
Mhm.
like, why aren't you more famous for romances? And then I realized, especially when I was watching Humraaz, it's not so noticeable in Reshma Aur Shera. He's very comfortable in Reshma Aur Shera, but in Humraaz and some of his older films, he's very uncomfortable in romantic scenes, and
Hmm.
he is very nervous in songs. And if you want to be a romantic hero, you got to be killing it with the lip sync and the steps
Mm.
and the close-ups and the winks and the mischief. You have to bring that. Like there is a reason Rajesh Khanna was so popular as a romantic star, and then Shashi Kapoor also brought that sparkle. Sunil Dutt does not bring that. He merely gazes at the heroine, and that's not enough. You got to do more.
I definitely think I've seen moments of him being sparkly, like in Walked, for example. And it's here and there, but it's not his overwhelming. It's not, all the time.
Yeah.
You're never quite sure when he's going to do that.
Yeah. But also like even in Amrapali as well, right? That movie is the Vajanti Mala show. And
But
I
they've
mean,
got some like, whew, good romantic moments in there.
especially in that song, I think it's Tumhe Yaad Karte Karte in that song. I mean, they're just like smoldering in that movie. I think he doesn't do well when he has to do like the boppy, breezy, cute romance that Shashi excels
Mm.
at. He can't do that. But he can do the romance where it's like a little bit more like earthy and sensual, where he's not expected to dance, but he's
Mm.
expected to make like sustained eye contact. He can
He is
bring
a
this
sustained eye
flavor.
contact pro. He can do
He
that.
can bring that, yeah. And I honestly do think a lot of it is explained if you read about his background. So he comes from a very, very conservative, like super conservative Punjabi family from the Pind. Like he's from the village, right? And he talked about how, but he was very educated and he worked for All India Radio. And he talked about how when he started doing like, these movies, it was very hard for him to do romantic scenes and stuff because
Oh.
he came from a background where you didn't even talk to women that you didn't know. And for
Mm.
him to have to put an arm around a woman and to dance with her, there's literally an interview he gave in his later years where he said he would tremble a little bit with fear beforehand. And the director would have to calm him down and tell him it's okay. And it's just, on the one hand, I'm like, that's so endearing and sweet. But also, sir, you are signing up to be a Hindi film hero. You cannot be trembling before you have to do a romantic number.
Dharmender did not have that problem.
Yeah, Dharmendra also
I
came from the
assume.
Pind. And Narmit was
Who were we
more than
talking
happy to do
about?
it.
One of our many Dale episodes when we had somebody was talking, or maybe it wasn't even us, but somebody wanted a t-shirt that said straight out of pinned.
Oh, me.
Was it you?
It's like it's not straight out of Compton, it's straight out of the pinned baby. And there's like a tractor on it. And then you're having like, what is that? The thing that they
Oh,
chew
sugar
on?
cane.
Yeah, no, not even a sugar cane, like a wheat straw or
Oh.
something. Like you're just chewing on that, like just kind of like a hillbilly vibe. Um, but yeah, I think he's good in those sort of like rustic romances with people that are slightly like older actresses, and he's older too. He's more comfortable in that scene. I think. I always think of Sunil Dutt as, if you thought of people as colors, I think of Sunil Dutt as like a primary color.
Huh.
I don't think of him as a particularly complicated secondary or tertiary color. I think of
Oh.
him as like red or, whatever, because he doesn't do all of that nuanced stuff. Why are you laughing?
Because of course we're going to give him an ice cream flavor, but now he also has a color. I'm sorry to the Dutt family legacy. We mean no disrespect.
No, we love him. I love him. But it's like if you want all of this like nuance and method acting and all of this like highfalutin stuff, then go watch a Dilip Kumar movie because you ain't getting that with Sunil. With Sunil, you're gonna get a lot of shoutiness. You better be happy with that, you
I
know?
do find him nuanced sometimes, though. It's not like he never does that.
No.
He does sometimes.
I feel like he has two modes, right? Like he has the mode where
Mm.
he's the supportive, nice person, and the heroine is the one that's driving the train,
Hmm.
and he's there and he's kind. And then he has the roles where he's just yelling at you because you're terrible.
It's funny that you said the word train because I did just think about like, oh, why isn't he in the burning train? Because he's not, but like he can't be on the burning train. That's ridiculous. There's room for 500 passengers, but he's not one of them.
You know who he would be if there was a role in the burning train? He would be the whistleblower that writes a letter, like he writes a letter to like the Times of India,
Oh
and
yeah.
he says, "I want to talk about corruption within this organization." And this one coworker called Danny Dinsongpa who wants to sabotage everything, and no one listens to him.
He
He
could
would
have
be
been
that
the Venom
person.
Mara character, I think. But
Yeah,
but
he was.
it doesn't find that it's Venom Mara. So he's a little too old to be buddies with the guy because those four are all
Yeah,
buddies. So but
I also don't think he wants to be buddies with them.
no. And fair enough, they're a lot.
He wants to be at the Hotel Sun and Sand, okay? He wants to be swimming and playing badminton. Like, don't be bothering him. Do you, what do you think about? I think with some actors, like their real life persona takes over so much that it just
Totally.
takes over the discourse, and who they were and what they did in their profession
Yeah.
is just not even talked about anymore. Do you
Yeah.
think that is very much the case with him?
Yep. And he's so apologies if I've told this story before. Years ago, when I was still on Twitter, I said something once about the more I learn, the more I'm like, Sunil Dutt much, 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 much better than Sanjay Dutt, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
so that tweet just I'm not gonna say it was viral, it certainly wasn't, but like hundreds of people were like, absolutely, or whatever. And I was surprised simply because early on in my film watching career, I met a couple people who really loved Sanjay Dutt. So
Mm,
I think I still was not understanding how beloved Sunil Dutt is, right, and remains to this
yeah.
day, which is really, really interesting, and how I think not as many people like Sanjay Dutt a ton as I had a non-proportional representation of that in my early, so he kind of loomed large in my early films because of not that I watched them, but people I knew really liked him. And so I had this skewed perception and hadn't done enough of my own research to find out. But yeah, I mean, Sunil Dutt is beloved. Obviously, the early death of Nargis is going to help cement
Mm-hmm.
because as far as we all seem to know, he was very good to her.
Mm-hmm.
He was a good human. The bar is low, but he did get over the bar, it seems like. So, and
Yeah.
then also just the mystery of how did these two people have this son? Um, and I do feel bad for Sanjay Dutt in a way because, all eyes were there and the pressure is on to be
Mm-hmm.
up to your parents' legacies, which are probably not what they're like as real people and not necessarily what they're like as parents or
Mm-hmm.
anything, but like that's the downside of being one of the downsides of being a nepo baby is that, you know, but it is
Yeah,
shocking when you compare the two men in particular. You're like,
I
how?
know. It's like when people talk about Tom Hanks and his son Chet Hanks. They're like, why is this person's son? But I was thinking also that I think one of the I think another reason that even Shashi Kapoor is so beloved is also because of his marriage to Jennifer
Oh
Kendall.
yeah.
And I think that we are so devoid of like green flag men in our celebrities. And we're just kind of like, we just kind of
Yeah.
assume that most celebrities, like
Are
male
awful.
celebrities, are just like Casanovas and awful and like
Yeah.
sexual harassers or whatever. And so when we find these actors who in real life fell head over heels in love with this woman and was faithful to her and good to her and was then devastated by her early death and didn't just like move on in a jiffy, I think it just kind of captures a part of our collective hearts and just makes us fall in love with
I
them.
mean, it's the continuation of the escapism of cinema, right? Like
Mhm.
we need that.
And the parasocial relationships
Yeah.
that we have with these people,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. But there's a lot of parallels between him and Shashi Kapoor. Like they're both actors who believed very strongly in their artistic visions and then used a lot of their commercial success to fund their more
Mhm.
parallel
True.
projects. Like I was reading that for Reshma Aur Shera, Sunil Dutt actually like sold 7 of his luxury cars, and he like
What are you
mortgaged
doing
his
having
bungalow.
7 luxury cars anyway?
I know, right? I was like 7 off his luxury cars. How many did he have in total? Like 14?
Yeah.
And then he mortgaged his bungalow, and then the
Oh,
movie flopped and
yeah.
everything.
Ugh.
But before like corporate money came into Bollywood,
Right.
this is what producers would do.
Yeah.
And so it was like boom or bust. Every Friday, like dictated your fortunes as a family. And that's, we have heard this in regards to Shashi as well so many
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
And then, same like Shashi had his movies that he made that were all like arty and parallel. That's also what Sunil Dutt was doing with Ajanta Arts. And one of the interesting movies that he's done, it's called Yade, not to be confused with the Yade that has Bebo and Hrithik Roshan. That has one of my favorite songs of all time, and it's terrible. And I love it and recommend it to everyone. It's called Dil Mile Dil Mile. Um, he did a movie called Yade that's experimental, where it's like he plays like I think 12 characters.
So
Uh,
interesting.
I
We should
know.
watch it.
I do want to watch it. And I'm like, what? And of course, it sank without a trace. And nobody watched it. And people
Huh,
were like, what is this tomfoolery? But this
right.
is what I mean. Like, he did these interesting movies. Like, Amrapali is also an Ajanta Arts production. So the fact that he felt the desire to fund a movie, because Amrapali has some shades of Utsav to it, I feel like. Um, I just find it interesting that these men primarily made a living from the commercial space. And then when they took their money to finance more arty projects.
Yeah, then he is the only actor in the film
Yes,
until
he's
Nargis
the
is in silhouette at the end. We have to watch.
yes.
We have to
So
watch
it's
this.
very
Oh,
like,
I
yeah,
never
it's
heard of
very
this.
like experimental. I've heard of
Wow.
it only because I think he made it to the Guinness Book of World Records or something.
Fewest
As
actors in a narrative film.
Yeah. So
Oh,
he did like interesting stuff like that. And I always give, like, this could be my bias for similar showing, but I genuinely do appreciate people who try to do something that's a little bit different and disruptive, even if it doesn't fail. I mean, even if it doesn't work, it's like at least you tried. It's like props for that.
huh. All
Are you
right.
still
I'm
reading about Yade?
fascinated. I didn't know anything
Right?
about this film. I would love to see it.
I think that's cool.
It is
And
cool.
then he also made a movie called Dad Ka Rishta, which I have not seen, but my mother loved this movie. We had it
Oh.
on VHS cassette when I was growing up, and I was not allowed to see it because, as you know, I love to cry. And Dard Ka Rishta, literally, this is a very dire title. It literally means a relationship with pain. Of course it does. It's a movie about leukemia.
Oh boy.
Yeah, you're not going to watch it.
I might,
So
but
I know. My mother loved this movie. She would watch it and weep.
huh.
So he plays, it's made in his older years. He produced and directed and starred in it. And it has Smita Patil as well. So he plays a father. I think he's a divorced father, like a single dad. And his daughter, his little daughter, is diagnosed with leukemia. And he needs to figure out a way to like treat her or whatever. And his ex-wife is Smita Patil, and she is a doctor who lives in the US, like in New York or something. And I get the impression she's not the mother of this child. And he has to reach out to her and ask her for help with figuring out how to treat his daughter with like the cutting edge stuff that she knows for chemotherapy in America. So he made this movie also, which was intended to sort of make people understand about like the harrowing realities of cancer and what it's like to be a caregiver and a person who's trying to treat
Wow.
a child. But this is very much a movie that is like 3 hours of weeping. My mother would sit on the sofa with a like napkin that would get like completely wet by the end of it, and I was not allowed to watch it.
Wow. No wonder we are
But
the way
yet
we
this is
are.
a movie I want to watch at some point. I considered watching it for this episode, but
You
I
have to
held
watch it with
off.
your mom.
Oh yeah, we'll just have like a crying fest.
Nice.
But that's what I mean. Like I feel like he did some really cool projects too. You
Mm.
know?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah. And then it makes me very happy as a woman that Nargis moved on from that horrible cat, Raj Kapoor, and left him to his
Truly,
alcoholism and
truly.
moved on with Sunil Dutt. Like, yes, girl, I support this decision.
Hmm. Hmm.
I also like the fact that, again, I know the bar is very low and we're congratulating men for doing the bare minimum, but I appreciate the fact that he never tried to put himself ahead of Nargis and was okay with her being clearly the much bigger superstar than he was.
Mm.
Nargis was always in a completely different stratosphere than Sunil Dutt was, and he was fine with that. And I like that for him.
Yeah.
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 So unlike one Mr. Bachchan, whom I will this is the Bachchan hate podcast.
Not for me.
Okay, we have come to our favorite segment, which is the Filmy Ladies Ice Cream Shop. What flavor have you concocted for Sunil Dutt?
Now, I want to say that first of all, I think I have already used this flavor, and I'm sorry, but this was the best. I
Mine
really,
has probably been used also.
and I have started a Google Doc where we're going to keep track of these, so maybe we can repeat ourselves a little bit less. People may know that, so Sunil that has a history degree. And I
Yes.
am the child of historians. I have a history degree. I work in a museum. I'm surrounded by historians all the time, and I spend a great deal of energy trying to wrangle historians, actually.
You have a
So,
palace behind you in your
right,
Zoom background.
right. So I asked some of the historians in my life if a historian or a history student, a very diligent and intelligent history student, was an ice cream, what would they be?
Wow.
And my graduate assistant, who is doing his PhD in history right now, he came up with exactly what I would have said. So I was like, okay. And his answer was butter pecan
Oh.
because he associates it with his grandparents. But I had already been thinking something sort of nut oriented when I thought of
Mm.
because it's a tasty treat. I love all sorts of nuts. Like I ate a bunch of pistachios yesterday. But they're not they're not like I don't usually when I choose an ice cream I want some nuts but also chocolate and whatever. Like I want a combo of things. Whereas the very nut focused seems like very sensible and
Mhm.
mature.
It's a solid choice.
It's a solid choice. It's almost always available. I don't know who eats it, but clearly people eat it because it's around all the time, at least in the United States where we both live. I don't know what the Indian equivalent of butter pecan is,
I
but
think it would be butterscotch, but I don't know if
and it's
butterscotch in India
interesting you said
has
that because
nuts
I
in
thought
it.
about that too. I thought about butterscotch as well. And so, yeah, butterscotch or butter pecan is what I'm giving him. Always reliable, quite delicious. You can add other things to it and make it, you can add some more sparkle or something if you want. Like you could add crushed nuts, you could add coconut, you could add a chocolate
Caramel.
drizzle, add caramel. Right. It could be a little bit salty, but it doesn't have to be. That doesn't really capture the his ability to go shouty,
Mm.
but I'm not going to worry about that. This is what I've landed on.
Okay. So I had similar thought process to you. I actually picked pistachio for him.
Ah,
So same thing. I was thinking of an ice cream that is non-offensive. Everyone likes it. If
yeah,
you go to Haagen-Dazs or whatever and you order like a pistachio cone, no one is going to look at you and be like, "You absolute lunatic. Why would you get that?"
right.
They're like, "Yes, pistachio, solid choice,
Hmm.
very yummy, very stable. It's
Hmm.
refreshing,
Oh yeah.
but it's not like weird."
Nope.
And it's really nice and it's eaten in the West. But then even in India, if you like pistachio a lot and you're not so much of an ice cream person, you can have pista kulfi. So
Delicious.
it's very desi. It's very like if you were to go in the pind in Punjab,
And I
you
do
could go
believe
and
that
eat like a pista
I
kulfi.
do believe that we assigned Prithviraj Kapoor to be the
A
kulfi,
kulfi.
didn't we?
Of course, he's a kulfi. I feel like Dharam is a kulfi too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dharam has to be a kulfi. Dharam
Yeah.
ain't
There's
eating
no
out
other
of
choice. Oh,
no.
or did we just say that he was alcohol?
We may have just said that.
He's a boozy
We were
shade
like
at the very
booze.
least. Yeah.
The response is
As
booze.
I re-listen to our episodes, I am making the ice cream shop menu. So
Okay. All right. So yeah, pistachio ice cream for him.
mhm.
Um, have you changed your opinion of him now towards the end of the episode, or do you still
No,
feel the same way as you
I
did at
feel
the
the
beginning?
same way, which is I want to see more,
Hmm.
partly because I enjoy him and partly because I would like to investigate, right? I would like to continue to shape my opinion. It is fascinating to think of someone who is so beloved, uh,
Yeah.
who's been he passed away what 20 years ago, and I feel like he's still quite beloved, right? So I would love to know
Hmm.
more. Yeah, I would like to know more, but also he's an enjoyable presence, um, pretty reliable,
Hmm.
sometimes shouty, but what Hindi film man is not sometimes shouty? Um,
Right.
and he's fun to watch. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. That was I think that concludes this episode on Sunil Dutt. I adore this man. I love him so much. I love him off screen. I love him on screen. I immediately want to rewatch Mera Saya because he's so darling in it.
Oh
He's so
yeah.
cute. Him and Sadhna together are just such a photogenic couple, by the way. Like they look gorgeous
Yeah,
together.
they're probably my
And
favorite of his pairs. Yeah.
yes, beautiful.
And
And
hers,
so
actually, now that I think about that, I think I don't remember what I said in our Sadhana episode is my favorite of her pairs, but it probably should be him.
probably would be Sunil Dutt. I mean, for me, it would be Sunil Dutt. Like they're a good jody. If you guys like Sunil Dutt and there's certain movies of his that you would like to recommend, let us know. Also, tell us what you thought about our Venn diagram because currently our Venn diagram sits at Sunil, Shashi, and Farooq being in the center. If there's anyone else you would add or deduct from that, let us know. How do you feel about Samitra in this
And
zone
Balraj Sani, right?
and Balraj Sahani too? Which, by the way, Sunil Dutt's real name was Balraj,
I thought
but he
that.
was told to change his name so that he wouldn't be confused with Balraj Sahani.
Good idea.
Um, yeah, so I love that combination too. And then tell us why you love him or if you don't love him, and we will see you next week on another episode of Filmy Ladies.
Bye.
Bye.